Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are doing a deck tech for Ezio Auditore de Firenze. Be patient with me, guys. I'm not going to be able to pronounce all of these. I'm Italian, but not that Italian. Ezio is a 2-mana 3/2 menace. Assassin spells you cast have free running. Free running is basically you may cast a spell for its free running cost if you dealt combat damage to a player this turn with either an assassin or a commander or assassin tribal, so it's always going to happen. Then, when Ezio deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 5 colors. If you do, and that player has 10 or less life, they lose the game. So this is a weird blend of 5-color target player loses Assassin Tribal. Let's get into it. So why play Assassin's Creed? Because he's Joe Assassin's Creed. Ezio is the most famous guy. I mean, I feel like you could have a hard time arguing he is not the most famous guy of Assassin's Creed. It's Ezio. Come on. He's a 2-mana commander with evasion. He makes all of our assassins cost black, which is huge because, one, he is Menace himself, so he's probably going to get through pretty easy on turn 2 or turn 3 when he attacks. Either way, he makes all our assassins cheaper. And then if we can get our opponents to 10 life, we just pay 5 and they lose. Still good. I will say, though, it's hard to reliably get our opponents there, but it's still a very real way to end the game. I mean, like, late game, you never know what can happen. And plus, we maybe have some cheeky ways to make it happen. Let's see later. Here's the game plan. We don't need Ezio, but we do need Ezio. So we don't need him in the fact that, like, we're probably not casting the Wooburg, and that, like, we don't really need him in the fact to make our assassins cost black. But guys, we really want our assassins to cost black. We want them really for the cost reducer. The 5 colors, just a fun little thing to end the game. So early game, drop Ezio. Mid game, attack with Ezio. Free run out our spells. Drop big guys on turn 3, easy. And then late game, we want to pay 5 mana. Like, we don't want to beat down with combat damage. That's a way we're probably going to win. But late game, we want to pay 5 mana to kill someone. Either way, they're dead. Channel and deck stuff. The deck costs $670. Take it with a grain of salt because a lot of the cards are pre-selling right now. So it's like we have like random uncommons that are like $2 to $5, and like the mythics are $15. And like, take it with a grain of salt. The lands are expensive, but just change out the lands and the deck will be way cheaper. Get the cards you need down from the link below. I appreciate it when you do. And then, as always, like, comment, subscribe to the channel to help it grow. Going into creatures, I will say right now, be patient. I'm not going to be able to pronounce all their names. I probably haven't played Assassin's Creed since Assassin's Creed 3, so I don't know a lot of the players, and I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing their names, so be patient. And also, I'm going to assume we have Ezio on the field at all times, so just their free run cost is 2, so we're just casting these guys for 2. So we're really just looking for effects and that these guys, again, all cost 2. So Achilles Davenport is just, again, a 2-mana Lord. He's a 2-mana Lord with Menace for a 3/3. That's great. He can free running out himself if we need to, which is still also nice. Altair is good because he is a first strike 3/3, and then whenever he attacks, exile an assassin from our graveyard with a memory counter on it. Then for each card we own an exile with a memory counter, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that creature, and then get rid of it at the end of combat. We don't really care about our graveyard too much. So if we have to exile whatever with Altair, that's still fine. Even if we exile Achilles, we just get a tapped and attacking Menace Lord that's a 3/3. It's still pretty good. Arno Dorian, Death Touch. Other assassins you control get +2/+0 and Death Touch. He also has Disguise. Ideally, we free run him out, but if we want to just disguise him as a Ward 2 2/2, that's still fine, and then flip him up for a big combat trick, that's still great too. Either way, play him at face value, he's still good. Assassin's Initiate is a great way for us to trigger free running, just because if we play him on turn 1, no one's probably going to have a blocker. At least someone's not going to have a blocker turn 1. Even if they do have a blocker, we can give them flying. And then even if they do have a flying blocker, we'll just give them Death Touch, and if they want to trade, they can trade, but it's unlikely they'll want to. Even Heartstabber is nice. 2-mana 1/1 flying, so again, kind of hard to deal with. Hard to block early game. As long as there are 5 or more mana values among cards in our graveyard, it's going to get +2/+2 and have Death Touch. And then whenever it dies, mill 2 cards and then draw a card. Again, it's awkward because there's a lot of cards that to trigger free running, it has to deal combat with an assassin or deal with a commander. Ezio is good for free running. He triggers it himself because he's a commander and an assassin. But we have to have like a weird mix of assassins to try to make sure that we're triggering free running every turn, because we don't want to pay retail cost for our guys. And then it's fine because even if he dies, we mill 2 and draw a card. And then even if we play him late game, right? Because here's the fear when you have these small little guys. Late game, he'll just be a 2-mana 3/3 Death Toucher with flying, which is still fine. Aya of Alexandria, Menace Lifelink. Whenever a historic card deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 Black Assassin creature token with Menace. Now, historic cards are legendary cards, artifacts, and sagas. That's historic. We don't really care about the artifacts or sagas. We care about legendary creatures. So whenever a legendary creature deals combat damage to a player, make a Black Assassin with Menace. And Aya is a Menace Lifelink with 4/3 anyways. So she's probably swinging in. Either way, it just helps us flood out with Assassins. And since they have Menace, it's easier to trigger free running. Basim Ibn Ishaq. Love this guy. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. For those of you that don't know, that's already better than Joyer Weatherlight Captain. Basim can't be blocked this turn. This triggers only once each turn. Maybe not so much. Either way, it's still really good. It's a free draw. Whenever Basim deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it. Really, really good. He's an unblockable guy. That draws us a card. That gets stronger and stronger. We'll take him. Triggers free running. And he's legendary. Bayek of Siwa? Bayek? I don't know. Double strike, as long as it's our turn, other historic creatures you control have double strike. We can disguise them if we want. And again, either way, we have a lot of legendary creatures because most of the cards in this Assassin's Creed set just straight up are legendary. Changing Outcast. Changeling, that's an assassin, and it can't be blocked, and it can't block. So that's really good. This guy's Changeling Outcast is always going to trigger free running because he can't be blocked, and he's an assassin. So he's really only in this deck to trigger free running. Desmond Miles, 2-mana Menace, 1/3, gets +1/+1 for each other assassin you control and each assassin in our graveyard. So he has the potential to be crazy big. And then when he deals combat damage to a player, surveil X, where X is the amount of damage dealt to that player. So pretty good. Fills our grade if we wanted to. Either way, it just sets up our cards for next turn. Atrada Deadly Fugitive is a really cool card. Whew, it's a lot of wall text, so bear with me. Death Touch, face down creatures you control have pay 4 mana, turn this creature face up. If you can't exile it, then you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana costs. Whenever an assassin you control deals combat damage to a player, cloak the top card of that player's library. Whew. What cloak means is exile the top card of their library face down, and then it is a 2/2 with ward 2 on our field. So the whole idea with this card is, well, you whip it down, or it's like you cloak our opponent's things, and then we flip it over. We play it without paying its mana cost. That's kind of the idea. But really, I like the bottom effect most. Just whenever assassin you control deals combat damage to a player, cloak the top card of that player's library, which is nice because it's really just, you just get a 2/2. With ward 2. That's great. Ezio, Blade of Vengeance. He's just the most short, sweet, to the point. Death Touch. Whenever an assassin you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. What else do you really want out of a lord? Eva Fry and Jacob Fry. They partner with each other, so when one enters, you tutor your deck for the other one, and you put it in your hand. Eva has pay 1, tap it, draw a card, discard a card. When you discard a creature, this way target creature you control can't be blocked. It's card advantage, and it triggers free running. Jacob Fry, whenever one or more assassins you control deal combat damage to a player, exile up to one target assassin card or card with free running from your graveyard. If you do, copy it. So Eva's nice, so we can just loot a card into the grave, and then Jacob can just essentially just reanimate it in a weird roundabout way. We can cast the copy of it, which is nice. Hired Poisoner, it's a 1/1 Death Toucher. Who wants to block this? It's there to trigger free running. Layla Hassan, First Strike. Whenever it enters the battlefield, and whenever one or more assassins you control deal combat damage to a player, return target historic card from your graveyard to your hand. So really just return a legendary creature or artifact from our grave to our hand. Mari, Killing Quill. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, exile it with a hit counter. Assassins, don't even worry about the rest. Whenever this creature does combat damage to a player, you may remove a hit counter from it, from a card that player owns and exiles. If you do, draw a card and create 2 treasures. So really, just whenever our it's nice because it shuts down opponents' graves. So there's no more sacrifice fun stuff. It's just they'll get exiled, and then whenever our assassins deal combat damage to a player, we just remove that hit counter, and then we just draw a card and make 2 treasures, which is really good. Massacre Girl, Known Killer. Menace creatures you control have Wither, which is nice for even if they get blocked. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, draw a card. Here's how Wither works. Wither says your creatures deal combat damage to a player. They deal combat damage as normal. They deal combat damage to creatures and really just damage to creatures in the form of -1/-1 counters. So if Massacre Girl attacks a 5/5, that 5 and Massacre Girl dies, that 5/5 is going to get -4/-4, like just 4 -1/-1 counters, which is great. So it's good for drawing cards. Morophon the Boundless, that's a 2 mana with free running because he is a changeling. That's an assassin. That big deer looking thing is an assassin, whether you like it or not. Spells of the chosen type you're going to say assassin. Spells of the chosen type you cast cost Wooburg less. This effect reduces only the cost of the colored mana. And then other assassins you control get +1/+1. The thing that's nice about this is that we can essentially, since free running is an alternate cost, with Ezio, they only cost a black now, and it's a lord, so either way. Necrotal is just when he enters the battlefield, destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature, can't be regenerated. Necrotal's fine, just because he enters and he just kills something. He's a 2 on the first strike, so he's kind of annoying to block. But either way, he's just an easy kill spell. Olivia, Opulent Outlaw. That's another great thing with Morophon, is he makes Olivia Opulent Outlaw just cost 1 mana. But she is a flying lifelink. Whenever one or more outlaws you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure. Assassins are outlaws, so whenever an assassin does, you know the drill. Then we can pay 3 mana, sacrifice 2 treasures to put a 1/1 to put 2 1/1 counters on all of our guys, but only as a sorcery. It's just good. We don't really care about her bottom effect. We just want her to make treasure so we can just keep casting and casting. Queen Marchesa, she's an assassin. Death Touch, haste. When she enters the battlefield, we become the Monarch. The Monarch means the Monarch is a fun mechanic. At the end of our turn, if we are the Monarch, we draw a card, right? At the end of any player's turn, if they're the Monarch, they draw a card. An opponent can steal the Monarch from you by attacking you and dealing combat damage to you with a creature. Then they become the Monarch, right? At the beginning of our upkeep, if an opponent is the Monarch, we make a 1/1 black assassin creature token with Death Touch and haste. Who wants to block it? So here's the thing, right? Is the Queen Marchesa, she at worst draws us a card, right? Which at our end step, which is great because we're the Monarch. Then if someone else is the Monarch, if someone steals it from us, we're gonna make a 1/1 black assassin creature token with Death Touch and haste. Like, who wants to block that, right? So they're either gonna block it and we kill a creature for free, or we're the Monarch and we draw a card. Ramses, Assassin Lord. He's cool because he really is an Assassin Lord, because our other assassins get +1/+1. He has Death Touch. Here's the thing. Whenever a player loses the game, if they were attacked this turn by an assassin you controlled, you win the game. So he really just says if we can kill one player, we win, right? That's it. He doesn't care about the other people. Also, the funny thing is if we use Ezio's ability and we make someone lose the game, we win the game. Just right away, rather than just that one person. He's cool. I like him. Realmwalker's probably the only green assassin, quote unquote. Changeling enters the battlefield, say assassin. So he is an assassin. You may look at the top card of our deck anytime and we can cast assassins from the top of our library, which is nice. Remember, free running is an alternate casting cost, so we can free run from the top of our deck if it's an assassin, which is cool. Royal Assassin, he's an assassin. Destroy target tapped creature. Don't attack, and your creature won't die. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Tree of Perdition, that's not an assassin at all. And you're right, Tree of Perdition isn't an assassin, but what he is good at is killing people. Here's how. So, it's turn 4, you play Tree of Perdition, Ezio is on the field, right? We attack with Ezio on turn 5. We have no blocks. In response to no blocks, we tap Tree of Perdition. We exchange target opponent's life total with Tree of Perdition. Tree of Perdition is an 0-13. So now what happens is we tap Tree of Perdition, our opponent's life is 13. Then Ezio is a 3/2, reduces their life to 10. Then we pay 5 mana to make that player lose the game. That is an angry tree. So it's a fun little combo we can do just to kill a player real quick, make them lose the game for 5 mana on turn 5, which is cool. Vraska, the Silencer, Death Touch, Assassin. Whenever a non-token creature an opponent controls dies, we may pay 1. If we do, return that card to the battlefield under our control. It's a treasure artifact with sacrifice this, you know, it's a treasure, and it loses all other card types, so it's not a creature or whatever. The cool thing about this is their abilities remain, right? So hypothetically, we'll just use Royal Assassin as a good example. So Royal Assassin, let's say our opponent has Royal Assassin, and then Royal Assassin dies. We can pay 1 mana, and then on our turn, we can tap that treasure and sacrifice it for a mana of any color, or we can tap that treasure to destroy target creature. So it basically just, Royal Assassin is now a treasure, and it keeps all the abilities, which is nice. And then the final creature is Zira the Golden Sting. I really just have her because I think she's cool. Flying, haste. Whenever she attacks, put an egg counter on another target creature without an egg counter on it. When that creature dies, if it has an egg counter on it, draw a card and create a 1/1 black insect creature token with flying. So why run her? Really a handful of reasons. She's just good. 4 mana, 3/3 flying haste. That's most likely going to trigger free running. Then when we attack, we just put a counter on something, and then if it dies, which it's probably going to because we have a lot of cards like Royal Assassin and whatever, and just kill spells, we're just going to get a 1/1 insect that we're going to use for chump blocking, and we draw a card. So she's kind of cool. Going into sorceries, most of the green cards in this deck are just ramp. Kodama's Reach, Cultivate, we're really just to filter mana because we are a 5-color deck. Nature's Lore and 3 Visits are the same thing. It's just so we can search our deck for a Triumph or a Shockland or whatever. That's really it. It's just to help fix our colors. Raise the Palisade is really good because we're going to say Assassin. Return all non-assassins to their owner's hand. Sounds good to me. Restart the sequence. Free running on a sorcery, which is cool to just reanimate a creature really quick from our graveyard. It's nice. In my head, it's a 3 mana or a 2 mana reanimate, even if Ezio's on the field or not. Russia Dread, I think, is really interesting. It's kind of on the Ezio plan of making someone lose the game. So it's kind of a modal thing. We can pick. It's a nuke, it's everything. Target opponent sacrifices half the creatures they control, rounded up. Target opponent discards half their hand, rounded up. Target opponent loses half their life, rounded up. So if someone's at 40 life, they're now at 20 life for 5 mana. And then it's a lot more manageable to get someone from 20 to 10 than from 40 to 10. Either way, it's a good nuke if someone, it's a good one-sided nuke if someone has a lot of stuff going on. Right? It's also a good way to stop opponents who are like life gain decks, because like if it gets to a point where our opponents are like at like 100 life, we're probably not going to win with Ezio, and we're going to have a hard time winning with just battle cruising beat down with assassins. So it's at least a nice way to put them in the realm of mortals. Then 3 visits, just search a deck for a Triumph or a Shockland, put it in the battlefield. Easy mana fixing and color fixing. Going into instance, it's Assassin's Trophy. Is anyone shocked? It has Assassin in the name. Destroy target non-land permanent, destroy target permanent. They search your deck for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield. That's it. We just get rid of something we don't like. They can have a land. It's fine. Counterspell, it's a counterspell. Cyclonic Griff, so we can bounce our opponent's things, so we can sneak in a little bit easier and just kill them, honestly. Dark Ritual is nice just because it's going to help with free running costs. It's going to get Ezio out. It's going to really just good one-time mana ramp. Deflecting Swat is good. Because the idea is we're always going to have Ezio, right? Because his free running is so good. I know I said we don't need him, but it's definitely really good. Deflecting Swat is just protection if someone tries to kill Ezio. Desynchronization, return each non-land permanent that is not historic to its owner's hand. So, in my head, just artifacts and legendary creatures stay. No one really plays sagas too much in Commander. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying it's very uncommon to see sagas in Commander, just in a random deck. So it's going to bounce all non-legendary, non-artifact permanents, essentially. Non-lands, obviously. So again, ideally, we keep our whole board. Everyone else loses theirs. Going in, we still have just, protection. Dovin's Veto. Someone tries to do something we don't like, get rid of it. Fierce Guardianship, Flawless Maneuver. Someone tries to wrath the board, counter it. Someone tries to kill any of our things. It's indestructible. Our board is protected. We have Swords to Plowshares for just easy kill and the easy exile removal, and then Teferi's Protection if someone tries to board wipe, and we want to live. Again, Ezio is just really crucial to the plan because the cost reduction is so good. Again, we don't need him because the deck functions without him, but still, we really like having our shit can't say that on YouTube, have our things cost 2 less, or cost 2 mana. Arcane Signet, it's good mana. Bide Nathasa, whenever creature you control deals combat damage to the player, draw a card, sounds good. We can also make our creatures attack this turn if able. which is nice to do on their turn if they have, like, it basically makes our opponents tap down all their creatures, which is nice. Chromatic Lantern, we're a 5-color deck. It's mana fixing. Door to Nothingness, I couldn't help but add to the deck. It's probably not good for the deck, but if we're going to make someone lose the game in a various other ways, we're going to obviously add Door to Nothing. It's a 5-color deck. Haystack is flavorful and it's good. Just target creature you control phases out. It just basically doesn't exist until our next turn. So if someone tries to kill Ezio or do something we don't like, we can at least save something. Lightning Greaves, put him on Ezio so we just can't be killed right away. Now he has haste. Quietus Spike is good. Equipped creature has Death Touch, and then when it deals combat damage to a player, they lose half their life rounded up. So again, same way, takes them from 40 to 20 right away. Silver Shroud, throw it on Ezio. Someone tries to kill him, oop, he's putting on a Silver Shroud costume for 2, and now he can't be blocked. Soul Ring is Soul Ring. Earth is Incubator. Creature spells of the chosen type cost 2 less. We're a tribal deck, guys. I mean, our assassins costing 2 less. Even if we're not free running them, it's still good to have. Whisper Silk Cliff. Jen, just protect Ezio. It can't be blocked. Enchantments, Black Market Connections. Choose one or more. Honestly, generally in Commander games, I pick the first 2. Just make a treasure and draw a card for 3 life, just because it's more mana and more cards. It is nice that it'll make a 3/2 Shapeshifter with Changeling, which is an assassin, which is cool. Cover of Darkness is a great, flavorful reprint. Enters battlefield, say assassins. Assassins have fear that can't be blocked except by black creatures or artifact creatures. So, in a lot of cases, it practically just are unblockable. Kindred Discovery, whenever an assassin enters or attacks, draw. Easy. Rhystic Study, it's Rhystic Study. Smothering Tithe, it's Smothering Tithe. Rooftop Bypass, I really like. Just whenever one or more non-token creatures you control deal combat damage to an assassin, to a player, you just get an assassin. What am I saying? Yeah, it's just whenever our guys connect, we get a guy. Going into the lands, it's really nothing special. We're running all of the Triumphs. We're running all of the Shock lands. Then we have the other lands. Cascading Cataracts is just to filter our mana. Pay 5 mana, do Ezio's thing. Command Tower and Exotic Orchard are going to tap for a mana of any color. Minas Morgul Dark Fortress is good just because it's going to enter tap, but then we can put a Shadow counter on Ezio just so he can't really be blocked because no one runs Shadow. Path of Ancestry because we are a tribal deck and we can scry one now. Rogue's Passage just to make something unblockable, which is probably going to be Ezio, so we can trigger our free running. And then Urborg. Each land is a swamp. Since free running costs black, we need to have a lot of black mana, and Urborg is kind of the fix for it. Going into basics, we don't have a ton. We have 1 forest just because we're really not green heavy, pretty much whatsoever. And then we have 2 of each of the other basics, which is still fine because we're like at 36 lands with that. Thank you guys for watching. Get the cards you need down from the link below. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time.